All right, so we got the life insurance, we got the IRA. This is one of my favorite ones because it's something that we actually been practicing, and that is creating an UTMA account for your child, right? And UTMA stands for a Uniform Transfer to Minors Act. And this allows you to hold assets in your child's name up until 18 to 21. And this is important, right? Like we talk about investing all the time on Market Mondays. We talk about it here on Earn Your Leisure. And we're doing it for ourselves, right? And that's all great. But having that asset for a longer term, right? So I'm 43 years old, right? If I have an UTMA account for my son and my daughter, right? That account was open when he was 7 and when she was 10, right? I just told you about the history of the market. 82% of the time it has seen appreciation. If I started investing at 7, what would my account look like now? Knowing what I know. They have the advantage of knowing what I know, plus having the time that's factored into their lives, right? So we're talking about somebody that's investing at 7. What does that look like at 40? What does that look like at 50? Now, the difference between that and the UGMA, which we'll talk about, is that you can have different type of assets, right? So we're talking about cash, we're talking about real estate, we're talking about stocks. That can all be held into account. What does that mean? That means that you can manage that account, again, educate your kid during the process. And so this is one of those things when we're talking about, hey, our kids know what is hot, right? So when Microsoft is creating a product, or Meta's coming out with a product, or TikTok is the hot thing, or I remember a few years when we were talking about Roblox, when that became a public traded company. These are now conversations that we can have with our children, educate them about what the publicly traded company is, but also allow them, if they want to invest over the long term. Now, the beautiful thing is that at 18, they now become owners of that account. So hopefully they've been practicing with it, right? They've been watching you invest. They've been watching transactions happen. They've been watching appreciation. I know for the past couple of weeks, we've seen some depreciation, but that's why we're talking about long-term holds. And so I know when we talk about 2 tech, 2 index, and Ian says that, this is why, right? If we have 2 tech companies and we have 2 indexes that track the market overall, that's a great basis to start for a child to have a long-term investment. If we want to invest in great companies, well, we have that ability to do that as well. And so what I've done is, like, I'll start to match, right? If I see a good company at a good price, NVIDIA, which hit 100, not only am I adding that into my portfolio, but I'm adding it into my child's portfolio. And the fact that I have 2 and they can mirror it, it makes it even better because they're watching this appreciation go. The other part is the UTMA account. Now, there's some differences here, right? You can put real estate, you can put jewelry, you can put commodities inside your UGMA. Your UTMA, you can only, this is key, you can only have cash, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. So that's the biggest difference. The UTMA allows more flexibility where you can have more different types of assets. And I know some people have collectibles that can be also passed down. At 21 or 18, they now control it. This is no longer something that you can manage and is handed over to them. Hopefully, you've given them enough guidance, you've given them enough education, enough resources to make positive decisions and good decisions inside that account. Because again, they've had it for 10 years. Like I said, my son was 7 when he started. By the time he's 18, that'll be 11 years for him. That has hopefully, and it thus far has appreciated pretty nicely. Now at 18, if they decided they want to start a business, this now becomes the seed for their business, right? If they decided they want to go to college, here's startup money now that they can pay towards tuition or whatever their endeavor is. If they decide that, hey, I want to take a year off, Dad, and I want to work for you, and I want to use this to invest in my own form of real estate, they can do that. It allows your kids flexibility to have decision-making power at a young age that can affect them for the long term. So those are 2 accounts that if you're adult and if you're watching Market Mondays and you're trading now, and this is easy to do, right? You go to your brokerage, right? There's a tab. It says UTMA or UGMA. You can open the account. You can start depositing money into that account now, and you can invest, right? You can invest, like I said, in indexes. You can invest in ETFs. You can invest in equities. These things are how you build wealth. We talk about generational wealth. Well, somebody has to do it, right? So if you're doing it now, you might as well create the habits that can be sustained and passed down for your next generation. Those are 2 positive ways to make sure that you have generational wealth.